Hey everyone, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2016 Ford F-250 Super Duty, we're going to be showing you how to install the CURT Front Mount Trailer Hitch. Before we do that though, let's take a minute, check this out and make sure it's going to work for you. So by putting a front hitch on your truck, it's going to help open up your opportunities on what you're going to be able to get done. People use these for a variety of different reasons. Some people use them for a winch mount, light duty snowplows, things like that. You can push trailers around with it if you got a lot and move trailers around a whole bunch. Put a ball mount in here and do that. But it seems like nowadays it's getting pretty popular to use different types of accessories on the front. If you're pulling your camper or something around and you want to bring the family's bikes with you, you can put a bike rack in here. What our neighbor's doing today, they're using a spare tire carrier. So they keep their tire up here and still use their other accessories on the back of the truck. This hitch is going to work with trucks that have a diesel engine or gasoline engine, so covered there. And it's only compatible with four-wheel drive models, so keep that in mind. If you have a two-wheel drive, not a big deal. There's other options available. There's a draw tight and an eco hitch. And just to compare this one to those, with the CURT and the draw tight, they're going to be pretty similar. And where they're going to sit. The thing is with the CURT though, it's kind of nice. You can have it where the receiver tube is going to sit up higher off the ground for more clearance, or you can install it the other way around to where it's going to hang down a little bit. So for those of you that might have a lifted truck where it's way up in the air and you'd rather it be down some, you can always do that with the CURT. And then when it comes to the eco hitch, that one's going to be kind of on its own. That one, the receiver tube is actually going to be way up here in this opening, and they give you a plate where you connect your license plate to, and when you're ready to use it, you'll pull this piece off and have access to it. As far as the weight capacities go, it's going to have a 500-pound vertical load limit, which will be the amount of weight pushing down on the hitch, and that's a pretty good number. You should be able to use just about any accessory that you'd want to in terms of spare tire carrier, bike rack, something along those lines. It's going to have a 5,000-pound maximum gross trailer weight rating. So something to think about, if you are pushing trailers around, it's going to be the weight of the trailer plus anything you might have in or on it. And it's going to have a 9,000-pound vertical line pull. So for those of you that might be using a winch or something like that, that's how much the hitch is going to be able to handle. The opening of the receiver tube is going to be a 2-inch by 2-inch, which is a good thing, super common size. And the pinhole is actually going to be behind this plastic piece. Ours is broken, so we can kind of bend it out of the way and show you there. Just going to use a standard 5/8 pin and clip. Doesn't come with one. If you need one, not a huge deal. You can grab it here at eTrailer. And you got a couple options really. If you set it up this way, you can always go in from behind there, put the pin in. That's probably what I would do. You could always trim a little more out to get access to it, or completely remove this, or if you flip this, if you end up installing this upside down, you have a little better access to it too. So regardless on what you do, not really a big deal. You can still get to that pinhole. We'll grab a couple measurements now, and these will help you figure out what type of accessories are going to work best. So going from the ground to the top inside edge of our receiver tube opening, taking into account the lift that we're parked on, that's going to be about 15 inches. And just as a reference too, since it is popular to put bigger tires on these trucks and lift them and everything, ours appears to be completely stock in terms of lift kits and things like that. And our tire size is a 285 60R18. So depending on what you got, these could vary a little bit. And if you go from the center of the pinhole to the edge of our bumper, or license plate rather, that's going to be right at 8 inches. And you can use that if need be to help figure out exactly if you are using a folding style accessory, if it'll clear the front bumper. At the end of the day, a good all-around front hitch. It's capable and looks pretty good too, so can't really ask for too much more. As far as the installation goes, pretty straightforward actually. You don't have to drill any new holes or nothing like that. Utilize all the factory openings, fish wire some bolts in there. And it's kind of nice that the hitch is 3 different pieces, right? You got 2 side plates and then the center section. And so by loosely getting the side plates up there, you know, it's a lot more manageable. You can manipulate a little bit more, and especially for those of you that are going to do this by yourself, you know, it's easier than taking one big hitch and trying to get it up in position and everything. So take your time. Should be in pretty good shape. But with that said, why don't we go ahead and get started on it now. To begin our installation, we're going to be here at the front of our truck, and we're going to be working on each one of our frame rails right here in this area, and we're going to have some brackets that we need to remove. Here's that bracket, and on each side of it, you're going to have 2 18mm head nuts. So go ahead and pull all those out. And from this point on, whatever we do to one side of our truck, we'll also do to the other side, because it'll be set up the same way. And go ahead, get this removed, get the hardware out. We are actually going to hold on to 2 of these bolt plates, and on the outside of our frame rail, we're going to fish wire these back into the original position. So what you can do, take the coiled end of your fish wire, run it through one of those holes. We'll thread that on. We can use that fish wire to help us pull this back into position. We can take our side plates now, and you can see how it kind of comes down and has this lip here. You're going to want that to face towards the front of the truck. And how this is going to work, these 2 holes are going to line up with the bolts that we put in, so we can take of our fish wire, run that through. Push those bolts through it. You can take the factory nut, get one of them started. Remove the fish wire, another factory nut on it. Then we're going to have 2 more pieces of hardware to get in place, there and there. So what I like to do, since this does have movement in it, is just take one of the bolts that they give you, kind of put it up into place like that. It helps hold it. We'll take our fish wire, coiled end, run it through there, and we're going to push that towards the front of the truck. And that fish wire comes out the front of the frame. You can take a spacer block and a carriage bolt. We'll thread that on. Feed that hardware up into the frame. Pull that through. And then remove the fish wire there. Take a flange nut. Get that started hand tight. Pull that bolt out that we had in there. And I'm going to do the same exact thing for that attachment point. Our fish wire, even the same hardware combination. At this point, you can determine what way you want the hitch installed. So you can have it to where the receiver tube is going to be lower towards the ground, and it'll actually sit underneath this plastic fascia piece here. Or if you want more ground clearance, you can flip the hitch over and it'll sit up higher. But if you do that, you're going to have to trim an area out on this fascia. That's what we're going to do to maximize our ground clearance, and so we can get the hitch roughly in position and figure out where we need to trim. If you can get someone to help you out with this, it'll make it easier. And we're going to line our hitch up, and I'm just gonna put one bolt in this hole here. That way the hitch will be somewhat supported and we can get a better idea on where we're gonna need to trim. So what I did, I was able to just kind of raise our hitch up and see where it landed on this plastic piece, and just kind of estimated where we need to trim. So I marked it, and I'll cut this out. We'll raise the hitch up, and if you have to take a little more material out, not a big deal. You can come back and get that done. So pretty thick plastic. I like to use a multi-tool to trim this out, but I suppose you could use a Dremel or a pair of snips, something like that. So I was able to get this cut out high enough to where if you rotate the hitch into position, it's going to clear everything, and probably went up a little bit more than halfway up this. So now that we verified that, I'm going to come back and clean up all these rough edges. You can use a utility knife or blade just to kind of scrape it clean and make it look a little bit better. That opening cleaned up, you can get this raised into position, and all of the hardware that you're going to use will be the same. Just a carriage bolt, push through there, and where it comes out, the other side, put on a flange nut. Now you can come back and snug up all the hardware. Factory nuts, we'll use our 18mm, and for the new bolts, we'll use a 3/4 inch socket. And I'm going to do the side plates first, and then come back and do the center section. Now you want to make sure and come back with a torque wrench and tighten down all the hardware to the amount specified in the instructions. With everything torqued down, we are good to go. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the CURT front mount trailer hitch on our 2016 Ford F-250 Super Duty.